Well, in 1995, I was at Mayo Scottsdale at that time. I was down there for 11 years. I had signed up for a mission trip through my church, St. Barnabas in Scottsdale, and to Honduras. And that fell through for a variety of reasons. And I was working with a gal at Mayo Scottsdale who had been going down to this area of Mexico for a number of years.
I was assigned my first Easter week of college to a village called Bella Vista outside of Ensenada, Mexico. And there I met a very young pastor who had left a lucrative engineering career to go back to his own people and reach out to them in a church. And late in that first week, they introduced me to a dear friend of theirs who was a medical physician in Ensenada, who opened up a clinic where he took fruits and vegetables as payment for his medical services. And Pastor Reuben just knew that we should meet, and now we know it was a divine meeting.
I had the bug and I had the time off, and I asked her if she could help me set up a medical mission at the area she goes to in Mexico, and she made a few calls, and so the first year we went down with about 8 people.
Pastor Reuben's heart goes far beyond the poverty in his own community, which is, we would consider to be severe, and his heart was to reach out to migrant Indians that he began to hear about that were springing up in little tiny shanty communities across the valley because Ensenada's land is great for crop growing. Our missions trip is serving both of those communities, watching the poor reach out to their poor and being able to mediate that with our medical care and our soap and toothbrush ministry.
We got there about dark and drove into the camp, and you know, here these shacks, pallets with blue tarps over the top, and all their clothes hanging out on the barbed wire fences. And somebody, oh, it's laundry day, and no, somebody else said, no, it rained last night and everything they had got wet.
We actually sleep in Ensenada, which is a resort town. Where we go help people is not in Ensenada. It's a lot like a MASH unit. We bring all of our stuff to the location, and usually it's church rec halls in very poor places with no running water, no limited electricity, no sanitation, and we bring everything in. We bring pharmacy in, we bring tables to set up for taking care of patients, we bring tables to take vital signs. We serve about 1,200 people on the mission trip in 4 days. So we always go to 4 different sites. Many of them are in need of eyeglasses. We have a lot of people that have routine medical problems like you see in the United States, diabetes, high blood pressure, a lot of tendinitis because there's a lot of people that work in the field, so we see that.
We have seen the need increase actually over time. Whenever America goes through struggles, Ensenada goes through even more struggles financially, and what we have seen from the beginning of our trip is folks presenting in dire medical need. The reason they're in dire need is because they are unable to receive services at the start of an illness or a disease process.
You know, all of these doctors, I had never worked with such a spectacular group of well-trained and compassionate healthcare providers. And we prayed every morning, and that gave us strength to do the work. And we saw a lot of serious problems.
6 or 7 years ago, there was a cardiovascular surgeon from Mesa who wanted to come along, and well, sure, you can come. I don't think you'll have anything to do, but it was amazing. You know, he came down, and we had 2 cardiologists with a portable echo machine, and here was this gal that had a heart defect from birth called tetralogy of Fallot, and she was 35. She had had surgery when she was a child, and now from the previous year to this year, her heart had dilated, her valve was failing, and if she didn't have surgery, that was it.
We could see that her heart was dilating and getting weak, and all because this valve was leaking. And I said, I'll bet we can fix that. And they kind of looked at me and laughed because, you know, here we are in Mexico. What are we going to do? Do surgery in the rec hall? So I said, well, maybe we can bring her back to Phoenix. So I approached my friends at Banner Desert Medical Center and I said, I got this situation. Do you have some money for compassionate use? In other words, to pay for her stuff. And they said, yes, we actually do. I got another pediatric heart surgeon that's a friend of mine to help, and he and I replaced her valve. And it worked, and she went from having to be carried up her 2 flights of stairs to sprinting up them within 6 months. And her son, who at the time was a high school student and the valedictorian of his high school class, was moved enough by this that he decided he wanted to go to medical school, and he wants to be a cardiologist, and he's now in his 5th year. And last year, he and I worked together the entire time in the mission trip.
We don't do the fly-in helicopter medicine. You know, we are all year in contact with Pastor Ruben and Cindy, and they went down for a quinceañera from one of the people's daughters who turned 15. So this is an ongoing relationship, and you can see that the work and the materials and the caring that we bring has improved the quality of life for these communities that we serve.
We have the joy of seeing the faces of the people when we return year after year.
Probably initially, I thought, well, I'm going to help all these people, but really it helped us more than I think it helped the people in Mexico, because you know, we were giving to them, but we were getting more than I think we received, because they were so extremely grateful for the things that we gave them that were really just our extras.
You know, it changes your life. It really gives you an appreciation of how blessed we are for what we have and how blessed we are at being able to share in their lives.
Having to become part of their community is what is so moving and transforming. If you step back and think about it, we're all in a very affluent society in America, and most of us physicians have decent incomes and very nice, pleasant professional lifestyles. Now we're all of a sudden going down and seeing 1,200 patients in 4 days, dirt-covered floors. We're hoping that we can get a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch, yet it's fun. This shouldn't be fun. This should be one of those things that makes you feel good about yourself, but isn't fun. But it's actually fun to deliver the care. And it's fun to see all the people come together, and it's just, the only way I can explain it is that God's presence is there. And to me, that's what keeps me coming back year after year. I come back a changed person every single time I go. And I think everybody on the trip has that same feeling.
Watching my husband manage the front office, so to speak, and to see him in that capacity, learning Spanish, and I thought I was better at languages than he was, touched me totally. Because our careers have kind of been separate. So it was just a joy to work with him and with all these other people.
All of the friends, both at St. Barnabas and then each one of us who know about this trip and let our friends know, whether it be for donations or for prayer, each one of those lives seemed to be affected. And that's had a great impact on me personally as well, to realize that you don't have to be the one that goes on a missions trip, but the going on the missions trip needs to happen, because it lets a lot of people understand that we are meant to give, that God's love isn't meant to just be inside of us, it's meant to be shared.
I think my favorite memory that will be seared in my mind forever is that of Dr. Mike Maxwell operating on the back of somebody's head, and sunlight was streaming through the window, and I will never forget that. And I thought, wow, God is really working through Dr. Mike right here in front of us all.
My daddy took me to Mexico when I was 7 as a friend of a missionary, and then we brought those missionaries to our house the following year. And the effect on me of teaching the daughter of that family how to turn on our faucet because she had never turned on running water, that clearly changed me to understand how much I had to be thankful for. And I believe that's the root of Casey and I meeting and being able to dream up such a trip.
We are the pastor coordinators of this mission clinic effort. We want to thank you, all of you workers from the St. Barnabas Mayo Clinic team, for all the support that you give us.
We are grateful for the beautiful work of love that you come to provide each year. Thank you for your faithfulness in returning that never fails. More than anything else, the love that you share is a teacher to our people, and it moves my heart. It is a blessing, and we hope that you can keep coming every year. We need you very much. I am a personal beneficiary of the work of the St. Barnabas mission trip, for in the year 2007 I traveled to Arizona for a life-saving heart valve transplant, and then in 2010 I returned for the implant of a pacemaker. I now have life, and life full of quality. God bless you.
I'm grateful to God for the St. Barnabas and Mayo Clinic medical mission. It is an inspiration working with the team. I am in my final semester of medical school and thank God for all that these team members taught me. They shared not just their medical knowledge, but their heart for the people.
10 years after getting married and not being able to have a child, one of the mission doctors provided my passage to Mayo Clinic, Arizona for a corrective surgery that restored my health, and a year later, we were blessed with our daughter.
We work with Mayo Clinic for a while now. I work with triage and see most of the patients coming through, and also it's a great privilege to translate with different doctors when it's needed.
And I work with the dentist for the most part, and I love the interaction with the patients and seeing the miracle of what health gives to their lives. We love you, and we're just so happy to work with you every year when you come.
Gracias.
Gracias.
There was this old man that came tottering in, you know. He had one tooth left in his mouth that hurt him when he ate, and that was the first year we had eye care along too, and he needed glasses, and somebody said, "Here, take these," you know, and we extracted his tooth, and we were able to correct him to 20/20, and I saw him sitting there afterwards just looking around saying, "Es un milagro, puedo ver," you know, it's a miracle I can see.